Hello, it is now, well, as you can tell, it's the start of a new vlog. This round, I'm not doing any series read-alongs because, oh boy, the like six books take it out of me. But I am starting a new reading vlog. At the end of the year, I started with like, do I enjoy historical romances reading vlog? This time, I am doing a do I like the cozy genre reading vlog. I just got home from dinner and I did drink a little bit, so I'm sorry if I seem like a little out of breath. I might just be dehydrated. But this is not the first time that I am reading the cozy genre, the subgenre I should say. Simply because I have read the Tea Dragon Society, for the first one of that one. I would say probably one a long time ago was like something about the study of dragons. I didn't like that book too much. I think I mentioned it in like the beginning stages of my booktube channel. One of probably the first few books I did unhaul in the beginning. And then I've also read Flower Heart, which is a cozy fantasy. And I've also read a cozy mystery series called Tita Rosie's Kitchen, which is, at the current moment, I've only read 2 of the 3 books I think that are currently out, and that is Homicide and Halo Halo, and then Blackmail and Bibinka, I believe. Let me just double check, sorry, but no, Arsenic and Adobo and Homicide and Halo Halo. The third one is Blackmail and Bibinka. So I thought I would read 3 books that were of the cozy genre. I'm planning on buddy reading at least one of these books with Lisa when she finishes them, because we were planning on buddy reading 2 of them, but one of them hasn't come off the hold yet. So let me grab the other 2 books. The 3 books that I am planning on reading is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon by Kimberly Lemming. It's a pretty thin book. I think it'd be thicker if it wasn't so like large. Like look at that from like book to head ratio. It's an adult cozy fantasy romance. Very low stakes, exactly what I need. The next one gives me such D&D vibes. It just suits it, and I'm very excited to see what it's about because I've heard lots of good things. And that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. It's about a tavern. Very interested to see how it is. And the other one is actually a new release, which is I think is like cozy academia is what I'm getting the vibes from. And that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is an adult cozy fantasy. I think there's some like academia vibes in there as well. But as of right now, I am planning on buddy reading. Lisa and I were planning on buddy reading Legends and Lattes and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies together. But it looks like her hold on Emily Wilde will be coming first. So we'll be buddy reading this one, which should happen sometime in the middle of this vlog. As of right now though, I am currently reading, I just started this today, That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon. This is about Sin, who is a young spice farmer. All she wants to do in this life is just stay a spice farmer. She doesn't want to stand out and become a big hero that gets killed in the middle of a field. That is until one day, as the title suggests, she gets drunk and saves a demon. Now there are some trigger warnings with the book. I read them at the beginning, and I also learned what dub consent means. News to me. I'm also sad because this is getting a reprint into like traditional publishing because it got so popular, and these covers will be no longer. So part of me is like, I'll just buy all of the old covers if they're still available. The trigger warnings for this book are there's BDSM, light, dub cod, which I learned means dubious consent. Then violence, mentions of sexual violence, no rape or sexual assault occur, just mentioned in conversation, and sexually explicit content. So right now I'm at the part of the book, I'm only in chapter 2. I'm at the part of the book where she is like drunk and she's walking home and she like kind of low-key runs into the demon, but then the demon tries to kill her. She like rushes home and like locks everything up. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I probably will read some tonight. I do need to work on my bullet journal. Like I've sketched almost everything out. I just have to do all the inking and the coloring, which I'm just like not excited for, but we'll see how I feel tonight. I also want to write, so we'll see. But then I also have to make my boyfriend's doing his first powerlifting competition. So I'm making him some of his snacks. So I thought I'd make some onigiri just because it's a little bit more carbohydrate heavy. It has the rice and then it has like the protein in it. So I gotta make that. I think I'm gonna take a shower first. Just decompress for a second. And then we can go from there. But yeah, that is it for this intro. Hopefully I enjoy these books. I have enjoyed cozy fantasy as like a general genre, or cozy as a genre. I think the lowest would have given something was Flower Heart, which is a 3 out of 5 stars. And probably that one light academia dragon one from like years ago, which is like a 3 stars as well. Yes, but I'll be back, hopefully slightly less babbly, and pajamas and cooking. So it is now Thursday. I have not updated since Sunday, Saturday, A-Day. I haven't read that much either. But I did get a chance to read more today. I'm about like maybe a quarter of the way through. It's a little hard to kind of gauge. It's such a thin book, which has me being like, you should have finished this. But things have happened, you know, we have life things occurring. We had very busy weekends over the past few weekends. New job. Lots of freaking trainings that have drained whatever, have drained whatever energy I have into making any kind of content. Like I filmed TikToks, have not edited them, have not been energized to film a video. Hopefully by Friday I'll feel a little better about wanting to film a video, but that does not change the fact that I am not there. So I did have some thoughts so far. You guys don't know that the first book, the first book that I'm reading is The Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon by Kimberly Lemming. This is an adult, cozy fantasy romance following a girl named Sin, who lives in a town where the goddess asks for heroes to come forward every year to basically just get eaten alive in the life outdoors. She has no desire of that after she watched her youngest sister get killed by one of those things that live life beyond their gates. That is one day until she gets drunk and accidentally saves a demon, and the demon now has enlisted her in this quest to stop the goddess, because the goddess is not actually a goddess. I am about 59% of the way through, and I took notes because I was in my car reading. So I took some notes so you guys know my feelings. I will say that holding up the book. The dialogue of the book so far is taking me out. I wasn't expecting like super like accurate, like olden time talk. I just figured it would choose somewhere. Because Sin talks really modern. Whereas Fallon has a little bit more of like a mock time period situation, which then confuses me because I don't know, is this like set in a modern time where like, you know, it's modern but not modern, hence the slang, or is it like olden time? I can't tell because the dialogue keeps taking me out. The other notes that I have was more so a question, but she was talking about, I think, like how to make like gumbo or how to cook crawfish, and she was like, you cook the potatoes until it's al dente. Can you cook? Genuine question. Like, I'm not trying to be sassy or rude or anything. Can you cook potatoes al dente? Isn't that just not cooked? I don't know. That's not even like a nitpicky. I just have no idea. Right now, Fallon likes to call Cinnamon Rabbit. I don't know why. But I will just say that if a man in real life were to ever call me Rabbit as a term of endearment, they're getting clocked in the face. But I will allow myself to enjoy it for the sake of the book, just because Fallon says it. I don't know. Fallon's personality is just, I'm very intrigued by it. It kind of gives me like watered down SJM protectiveness kind of situation. But I will say that there is some clunky descriptors. These aren't super spoilery, I don't think. But we'll start off with the page 49 one. Let's see, where is it? Oh, here we go. She raised her arms to me again, waiting for me to pull her to me. But I leaned to the side past her face and looked down. There, peeking up over the edge of the water, there was the most hideous black dog I'd ever seen. Its maw held sharp dagger-like fangs and long fur running down from the top of its head down to the body's base. The fur spiked like needles as it rose further out of the water. I followed the trail of spiked fur down its back to the base of its tail, where it curved up and ended in Cherry's back. So, like, it makes sense, like, the image makes sense, but to me, like, when I first read it, I had to read it a few more times because it felt so clunky to me. I was just trying to picture everything to flow, like, picturing everything flowing all together in that one singular movement, but it was just not happening, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this situation here. Like on page 59-ish, and the romance seems to have developed out of nowhere. I don't know if it's still not quite yet romance, I would say. Sin is very much attracted to him. She's seen him naked at this point. They're both like very attracted to each other. There's like that sexual tension. But then out of nowhere, just because Sin kills an alligator, which took me out of the moment, I sat there and was like, with a dagger? Okay. Fallon was like, I'm gonna marry you and make you my wife now. And I just kind of sat there and was like, There are definitely some clunky aspects to the book so far. I think right now it's just like, it's so, the magic system and like, I guess like the societal aspects of like the demons and whatnot are kind of missing for me, and maybe it'll develop more in the next few pages that I have. So we will find out. So far, like, I'm enjoying what I'm reading, but it's not like it's a cozy fantasy. It's very low stakes. So I wasn't expecting a ton of world building, but I still feel kind of lost with the world building we do have. Like, I don't know, do demons marry for love? Do they marry to carry on the next line? Like, to carry on the, I don't know. But I'm also just sitting here like, how does one kill an alligator so easily? She's like spotted him floating toward them, and I was like, alligators can, you know, swim up to 20 miles an hour in the water. And she just kind of walked up to it, and the alligator didn't try to bite her or run away. And then again, if Fallon was the worst of the worst and the worst predator you could have, why would a predator try to, like, they can sense when someone's bigger than them. I don't know. There are just moments when I'm like, it kind of takes me out of it, and I'm sitting here like, I don't know what to do with this. But we'll see how I feel about the book as a whole when I get to the end.
Are you supposed to milk them?
What are you doing?
What?
They're gonna poke my nose, not shove your entire finger up a nostril.
What?
Go wash your hands.
Give her a wet willy drink.
No!
Those are better when they don't see it coming. Like in her sleep or something.
Yeah.
So she wakes up to that feeling. She's like, ah!
While she's taking a nap.
Hey baby, you feeling tired today? You gonna take a nap?
No, I'm good. I slept
Adele and
pretty
I
well last night.
Adele and I will give you
Double
one from
wet
each
willy.
side.
Much cleaning, one nap, and tons of errands done later, I finished the first book of this vlog. It took me like a week, and not even because I was like not feeling it or whatnot. I was just so very tired with the things that I had to do for my new job. I like slept for most of the week, I'm not gonna lie. But it's now Saturday. I finished the book. Give it a 4 to 5 stars. I really did enjoy it. I liked the friendships that were built. I like the romance that slowly kind of like that built up. And I like the characters. I like the plot. The smut did get better at the end. There were some just bits that took me out though. One, I think that this book could have been bigger. I think with how the author was developing the friendships and the romance, which went from like, yeah, I want to sleep with him, to oh my god, I love him. Just kind of jumped really fast, which again, it's a short book, so it makes sense. Then the friendships that were growing, I wanted to see more of that. Desperately wanted to see more of that. And then I also wanted to see like the plot. I feel like I wanted to see more of the demons. I wanted to know like just more, which is fine because it's a short book and it's not the focus of that, but I just wanted to see more of the world. And I think a lot of the things that happened within the book got were a little chopped up and not as whole as I'd like, just because of the fact that she tried to squeeze in a lot of like complex characters in there and all the fun stuff. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. I will be picking up the next couple of books because they are pretty fun. They're very light. I will say though, Tin's dialogue just kept taking me out no matter what I did. It got better the further I got into the book, maybe because I was just getting more used to her dialogue, but I did get a little like taken out by the dialogue. I was just like, and then there was like one page, there's like one bit where they were like starting to like get down and dirty, do some foreplay, and the mans gave a 3-paragraph dirty talk. Like, I sat there for a hot minute and was like, after this is a little too much even for me. Like, I need dirty talk to be sweet and succinct and leave lots for my imagination to enjoy. Instead, you're giving me an intro, a thesis statement, body paragraphs, supporting evidence, and a conclusion. And that's just a little too much. And I literally sat there and was like, ooh, and then went to, oh, still going. Still going. But other than that, I did enjoy it. It is definitely on the lighter side. Like, if you're looking for something more, I guess, like, fleshed out, this probably won't be, like, your favorite book. I think there were a lot of, like, the romance could definitely have been fleshed out a bit more. If she wanted to add more friendships in there, that could have been fleshed out. So I wanted there to just be, like, it wasn't bad. I quite enjoyed the complexities of the characters, but like, again, because there was so much happening, the book should have been a little thicker. It's only about like 172 pages, give or take. So it just needs to be a little thicker. It's definitely like on the novella side of things, but because of that, either I see these characters in the next spin-offs, or the books need to get progressively thicker, because I was just a little sad that there wasn't enough of the characters. I really love them, and I really hope I get to see like Usha and Felix and Ambrose in the next coming books, because that would be so much fun. But yes, moving on to the next one. I don't know if Lisa's hold has gone through yet. I don't think so. So I think the next one I'm going to be reading is Lattes and Legends by Travis Baldree. That's also a part of a bigger series, and I'm very excited to see what's going on. All I know, I think it's about, let me just get the book actually. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. It gives me D&D vibes. Like, if there was ever anything to give me cozy D&D vibes, a very low stakes campaign. Let me read you guys the synopsis, because I'm not entirely sure what this is about. All I know is about like well, I see pastries. Obviously, I'm getting some sapphic vibes in here. And I see beer. Or maybe it's coffee? It's coffee. Lattes, Therese. But I'm gonna read the synopsis. I just woke up from my nap, so the voice is not there. And I don't know where I put my hydro flask, so I can't drink water right now. But after a lifetime of bounties and bloodshed, Viv is hanging up her sword for the last time. The battle-weary orc aims to start fresh, opening the very first coffee shop in the city of Thune. But rivals old and new stand in the way of success, not to mention the fact that no one has the faintest idea of what coffee actually is. If Viv wants to put the blade behind her and make plans as a reality, she won't be able to do it alone. But the true reward of the uncharted path are travelers you meet along the way, and whether drawn together by ancient magic, a flaky pastry, or a freshly brewed cup, they may become partners, family, and something deeper than she could ever have imagined. But yes, very D&D. Very excited. I want to be able to recommend. I almost say comprehend. That's not the word at all. Recommend this book to my D&D group. Very low stakes, very cozy, very intrigued. I'll catch y'all guys up when I get started reading. I don't think I'll be reading tonight. I want to work on my crochet project. I had the goal to do 2 crochet projects in a year. I have like one that's 1.5, but it got so screwed up because I could not understand the pattern at all that now I'm doing a little tulip tote bag. And then my friend who started crocheting at the beginning of the pandemic gave me a bunch of her beginner friendly patterns, so I kind of want to try hers once I'm done with this project. So yeah, so far I can't tell if I like cozy reads yet because I'm still trying to get a feel for how the cozy genre maps out. Like, is it supposed to be cozy the entire way through with very low stakes? Do we get into the higher stakes territory as the book progresses? Is it a mix of all of the above? I don't know. So this will be like my, because the past few books that I've read have been kind of a mix. The Tea Dragon Society has been cozy the entire way through. Flower Heart and The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, kind of a mix of like we get some coziness in there and then all of a sudden the higher stakes we get. I don't think I would categorize The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon as particularly cozy. There were a lot of battles in that one and I felt stressed. So I don't think stress is a cozy feeling. But we will see about Legends and Lattes.
Parking lot downtown, roll around looking raw, acting like we on one. Couple times I synthetic whole squad splash, single cigarettes on cheap vodka. Thinking about way back when, can't take it from the best, no problem. Old school present tense, gon' give me that new world polish. I remember skating down Plainfield, yeah. Popped a cap, now we easy. Don't play no Simon Says. Say no more, got me dead, sitting on Plainfield, yeah. And I don't ever wanna come off the wave. Try to catch me if you can.
Hello, it is now Thursday of the next week. I haven't had a chance to really update because one, the book's kind of slow paced, which makes me want to take my time with it, so I've been slowly forming my thoughts. I'm on chapter 11. Secondly, it's my time of the month, so I have acted and felt like an unstable little gremlin. I am about, I want to say, a quarter of the way through the book. I'll probably get through more of it sometime over the weekend. I have a long weekend ahead of me, so but it's very slow paced, very low stakes. I'm trying to really figure out the point of the plot, or the plot itself, past Viv retires and opens coffee shop in a world where no one knows what coffee is. So far, we have a couple of threads here. We have like this little subplot of some random guy who's like, I don't know what you call him, like a loan shark, but not a loan shark. A gangster, a mobster who like owns the area and asks you to pay your half, your fair share, that stuff. Then we got the side plot of her old like guild mates coming in and making some weird insinuendos. No. Some hints that there's a trouble a brewing because of what she did before she left. Then there's a poem that she keeps bringing up every other like chapter that says, well nigh to the thalmic line, the scalvert stone of fire draws the ring of fortune aspect of heart's desire. And that's about as far as I got. And those are the threads that I'm seeing. Then we have a dire cat, apparently, because it's a freaking huge cat that apparently just lives in the area and pops up randomly and is now sleeping in the cafe and is like a shop mascot, according to Viv. That is the furthest I've gotten with this. I'm very intrigued to see what happens next, but it's so low stakes at the moment that my brain is like, we can just like take a stroll through this book, just in leisurely walk, smell the breeze, enjoy the pastries that have not yet been created but are so painfully teased on the cover. I just want to know how this man's going to describe bread and the smell of bread, because that'll probably make or break the book for me as to how he describes the smell of freshly baked bread and the sweet aroma and the crunch of the crust. I'm a woman of simple means. But it is now Thursday. I need to plan a video for tomorrow, which will be another review. And then I'll probably read. I told my sister I wanted to watch Set It Up, but she disappeared like the little gremlin she is. So maybe I'll just put on the Musketeers. But I'll catch up with you guys when I do something with my life. I don't know. It's the Sunday of the next week. I don't remember the last time I updated. I know it was sometime the week before last. I have reasons for that. I got Rona for the first time. Knocked me on my ass. I'm fine now. I'm just dealing with some, like, I'm sure you can hear it, some cold symptoms. My sense of smell is kind of gone. My sense of taste depends on the object. I had a burrito today. Couldn't really taste the burrito. I'm sure it was fine. Can't really taste soda at the moment, but everything else seems to be okay. I don't know, but I'm fine now. With that being said, I haven't had a ton to get reading into. I've been reading a bunch now. Like today. But I'm on chapter 24. I'll probably finish this either tonight or like tomorrow. And then Lisa and I can start our buddy read of Emily Wilde. So far, it's like, part of me is expecting things to get a little more exciting, and not like super exciting. I'm thinking like Hallmark, they stole my song from me kind of exciting. I'm not expecting blood to be shed, or murder to occur, or a gigantic battle. I'm expecting like a Disney kind of face-off where you just kind of stare at each other until someone breaks, and you call it a day. Because it is a cozy fantasy. But I am enjoying it. I just definitely do think that cozy fantasies I'll probably use more as like a break between everything. And by a break, I mean like if I read like a bunch of fantasies that are kind of heavy, or something's a little heavy, like have like a nice like little breather in between. I don't think I can do cozy fantasy in an overly consistent situation, because I don't know, I think with being an anxious person and having the depression, that I just require a healthy dose of adrenaline and fear and stress in my stuff, so that way I can enjoy life and the rest of the book. Because right now it's just a lot of like calm moments, and like even like the stressful moments aren't stressing me out as much as I thought they would. So I'm just sitting here like, am I enjoying it? Yes. Do I think that like part of me is like, okay, so when are things gonna start getting interesting? Yes. So definitely like something that I read like when I'm like need a breather from things, but not something that I would gravitate toward on like a consistent basis. I do like it though. Again, it's very D&D, very low stakes. I'll update y'all when I finish the book, and then I'll get into Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Yes. And I can go from there. And I can have my full thoughts on my more in-depth dip into what is the cozy genre. Because I have been reading quite a bit of cozy books before then. But yes, I got the Rona. I'm okay now. Just waiting for some of my senses to come and do the sensing. yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of friends from different parts of the world tell me they got the Rona again. So I think something's in the air. Even my friend who's a nurse is like, yeah, people are getting corona like crazy. And I'm like, and it's knocking them on their asses. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I got knocked on my ass. But yes, I will try to vlog more these next coming days. I probably won't be able to vlog kind of in the middle because I have a work thing I have to travel for that's only going to take 2 days. But other than that, we should be good by now. Hey friends, it is now Monday night. And like I said yesterday, I did finish the book. I feel like we're just putting attention to my boyfriend's focus face. We're just gonna scoot this way. There we go. I finished the book. This was probably the least anxiety-inducing book I have read since I was a small child, and the most anxiety-inducing thing that could happen was Winnie the Pooh getting stuck in a doorway. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. At first I was like, well, not much happened, so like I can't like rate it on much. And then I realized that that was the whole point of the book, was that there's not supposed to be a ton that happens, because it's a cozy novel. Even in the back, it says low stakes. It's very low stakes. Like if you are looking for a book to just be nothing but vibes, and have zero, like, concern for any of the characters' well-being, like that's how comforted you are in this book, I recommend. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I really did enjoy it. I will be reading more from Travis Baldree. I want to say Baldree, like Baldree, but it's Baldree. I will be reading more from this author. I will be reading more from this author in the future. I know that there's a prequel book regarding Viv before, like how she found herself like in love with books, which was like books and something. But I don't know if I'm very like intrigued by it. I just want to read more about Viv in the present time, you know, and see where that goes. This also does have very soft queer vibes, you guys can probably tell. It's not very like, it's not queer focused, but you will be giggling a little bit with how cute this book does get. But I highly recommend it if you guys haven't had a chance to. I really liked it. Definitely like, I definitely have to go into a cozy book with the anticipation that there's going to be very little that happens in said book. Cause like even Stardew Valley gets my anxiety up. Fuck them fishes. Highly recommend it. Very sweet, very soft, and very much makes me want to open like a bakery / a bookstore kind of situation, but I have no knowledge in business. None. So that'll be a dream that I vicariously live through movies like Something from Tiffany's and the books that I write. Moving on to the last book of this vlog, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is a new release. This came out in 2023. Brand new. I think it's also a debut novel as well. I'll be buddy reading this with my friend Lisa. I'll leave her link down below for y'all. She's already started. I want to read this book because I am intrigued by it. I don't have a ton of like knowledge on what this is about. I'll read the back actually. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is a genius scholar who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore, and Emily lives for her work. She emphatically prefers a company for books, her dog, Shadow, and the fair folk to other people. So when she arrives in a hardscrabble village in the far north, Emily wishes only to focus on her studies. She certainly doesn't have time for another new rival, her dashing and insufferable handsome academic rival, Wendell Bambleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, muddle Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the hidden ones, the most elusive of all fairies lurking in the shadowy forest outside of town, she also finds herself on a trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bambleby? And what does he really want? To find the answer, she must unlock the greatest mystery of all, her own heart. I can't tell if this is gonna be cozy or not. I think a lot of people have the tendency to like tack something that looks kind of cozy, like tax the word cozy onto something that looks kind of cozy. But I'm intrigued to see where this goes. It sounds like it's also going to be kind of like a romance. So nothing but good things. Oh, it is not her debut. It's her debut adult. It looks like she's written middle grade novels such as Ember and the Ice Dragons, The Language of Ghosts, and The School Between Winter and Fairyland. and she's written in a young adult series. I want to read, but I think my body's still like recovering from the cocoa, and it's like, I want to be a vegetable. Were those footnotes? I'm not doing footnotes. At least they're not excessive footnotes. Okay, so it is now Saturday. This vlog's going on for a lot longer than I wanted it to, but this is what happens when you get cocoa, and then the week after you have a work trip. It was a little hard. But I have started Emily Wilde. I'm reading this Lisa. Lisa's like 50%, like, she's already like halfway through. I am not halfway through. I'm like maybe like a quarter of the way through. I am struggling to get through this fucking book. Like, I don't know what genre this is. I can't say it's dark academia. I can't say it's fantasy. Can't say it's like light academia. Can't even say it's cozy. It's just dense, and it's very stream of consciousness, which is not bad. Like, I do like a book that can do stream of consciousness as well. I don't think this book does that. It's just really dense, and there's just too much distance between Emily and, like, Emily's POV and the reader that I can't get into the book. It's just a bunch of things in the fucking footnotes. This is supposed to be her, like, journal, and Lisa said that, like, in the book, she mentions that she, like, tries to keep her journals more academic and professional. What person puts footnotes in a journal? And it's just, to me, she's talking about how excited she is, or it feels like she should be very excited for the fact that she's studying things in, like, I guess, like, I'm assuming, like, somewhere in, like, Denmark, because it took me, like, this far in to realize that she's not in Scotland or Ireland, which is where you typically think fairies are going to be. So it took me that long to figure that out. And it's just, like, there's too much distance that I can't get a feel for who Emily is as a person. Like, her personality, I can't get a feel for her emotions. Like, she's supposed to be excited. She keeps saying this is, like, her lifelong dream. She's always wanted to do this. But then, like, to the nitty-gritty of it, I don't feel any emotions. There's nothing there. And there's, like, a reveal that, like, has her proving, like, she's like, oh, yeah, so I was right the entire time. I was right. And it was the most anticlimactic reveal of all time. This doesn't feel cozy to me. This doesn't make me want to curl up in a blanket and just feel the vibes out. It doesn't. I'm just sitting here like, the vibes are not vibing. They're not very cozy feeling. I want to DNF this book. But I want to know if it starts to get better. But I'm also sitting here like, why am I waiting until halfway through? So this book reminds me a lot of this other book I read at the beginning stages of my YouTube career. It's like, I forgot it was like a natural history of dragons or something. I'll put the cover up here. Like, I disliked that book. I sat there and I was like, this book is so dense, it follows like 30 fucking years of her life, and I still can't get a feel for this character's personality. Like, none of it. It was just so far removed with how it's written. And it's a series, so I was like, how are we gonna get this into a series? She's like 30 or 40 by the time we get to the first book. It's now being marketed as a cozy book, which I don't think it's very cozy. Cozy to me is all vibes. It's like very low stakes. And yes, that book was low stakes. This book is low stakes. But cozy to me is like Legends and Lattes, where it's literally just vibes. There's a plot there. It's very low stakes, but the characters are kind of what bring the book to life. It's like Tea Dragon Society. It's like the time I got drunk and saved the demon. This is not that. There's like, it's so far removed from the personality of the character that I can't deem this any kind of cozy. It's not even just vibes. I'm reading a textbook. Like, it's just like for me, cozy genre has to be about the characters. We like cozy games because they're low stakes, but they have a lot of depth to them, like freaking Stardew Valley. I've never played Animal Crossing, but I'm sure Animal Crossing has some kind of depth or enjoyment to it. So I'm hoping to get to halfway, probably tonight. I just have to edit a video, because I've been meaning to post that for a hot minute now. So I'm hoping to God this book does get interesting at the halfway point, because at this point I'm just sitting here like, what is this book? I can't even pinpoint the genre, you guys. It's not dark academia because nothing deep or scary or like existential is happening. I wouldn't characterize this as fantasy of a type, maybe like urban fantasy, but even then it's so low on the fantasy thing. I don't even want to categorize it as cozy because it's not very cozy. It is now Sunday. I have read more of the book. Lisa finished the book. I'm about 50% of the way through, and it is starting to get interesting. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's a lot of like build up to the thing that happened. But now they're like going on a journey on their favorite rocket ship. I mean, it's historical, so there's no rocket ship. But they're going on a trip and their not so favorite rocket ship to look to find things, and it's getting interesting. We are learning more about Bamblebee. Don't know if that's gonna play more into it later, but that's all I have so far. I have no idea. Like, this book, it doesn't read cozy to me, but like how it's written and the slowness of it all, and how the forest is like basically alive with the sound of music, quite literally, and how just like how it's written gives me almost like gothic vibes. It's not a gothic book, but how it's written and how like things kind of seem to have like a life of their own, and just like the lore and the vibes about it, it gives me more of a gothic fantasy almost aspect that's not so horror. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not a horror book by any means, but it's not like fantasy nor is it cozy. It just gives me like gothic vibes with how it's written and the atmosphere of it all, you know? Like, I was just thinking about it, reading it. I feel like this would be a perfect book to read in the wintertime, at night, or like when it's like pouring outside. Like, it's just that kind of, it's not like a cozy book, but it's like a kind of like almost creepy aspect to it because of how the Fae are in this specific part of the world. So that's just kind of the vibe I'm getting from it. Like, it's almost gothic is what I'd like to call the genre. Almost gothic. Alright, it is now Thursday, and I just finished the book. I tried really hard to film B-roll for you guys. Whenever I was reading the book, I was just unhappy. 2 out of 5 stars. I wanted to give it a 3. I was hoping I would get the 3 out of this, but I did not. I just think that it was so far removed, like emotionally, that I had a really hard time really getting into the character, into like the world. So Lisa and I were correct that she is like autistic, or at least really autistic coded, which like I love that representation, and I really loved seeing that representation in a fantastical setting, or like a fantasy-ish setting, because it's not very fantastical, it just has fantasy elements. But I think it's just like, you can tell Emily is painfully English, painfully English, because there is no like love for oral tradition with how she tells things. She's very like, oh yeah, this happened matter-of-factly, and this might be because she is heavily autistic coded. I don't know if the author has come out and said that Emily is autistic. That's just kind of what I'm seeing from the reviews and what Lisa and I first thought when we started reading the book. But it's just like so distant because she tried to make it so academic that I feel like so much happened in the book, but at the same time nothing happened in the book. There were like very minimal build up to a lot of things because again it was so distant, it was so matter of fact that I was like, okay, that's fine. There was a plot with Wendell. Obviously, like, Wendell is a love interest. It's very heavily implied in the beginning pages of the book when he's like, oh yeah, he drew me looking beautiful. How unfortunate. I was like, this man has a hard-on for you. He's very in love with you. But there was no build up to it. Like, I was expecting the slow burn to really save the book for me. I wanted there to be like stolen moments of like glances and whatnot, but no, instead it was like, oh yeah, I love you, marry me please. And I was like, I think I missed a chapter, but I didn't miss a chapter because I read everything. And then there was another plot that kind of became like the central aspect of the plot, about probably like the last quarter of the book, and I just kind of sat there and was like, when did this come into play? When did this occur? Because I don't know. Which again, very difficult considering I really wanted to love this book. I think Wendell Bamblebee was probably the highlight of the book, mainly because I feel like he was the one that was, he had the most personality jumping off the page. And like I said, it's not like a judgment on Emily because like she's autistic coded. It's more so that she wrote the book in a certain way that it's so heavily removed from everything. Like the build up, the inklings, it's all very factual. Which is where I kind of got a little bit lost, because I was like in cozy aspects, much like, you know, Legends and Lattes and the Tea Dragon Society, that are intrinsically very cozy, are very heavy in the lore. We get a lot of lots of descriptions on what this magical artifact means, or how to take care of a dragon that grows tea leaves from its back means. You know, just a lot of lore. And with that, I feel like because Emily knows everything, or a lot of things about the Fae, the enticing part, the exciting part of getting to learn about the lore was kind of lost. Because she would just be like, oh yeah, it's the Fae. They do da 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 da. And there wasn't as much like mystery, I suppose, with the book. Or as much like learning. Because we are just reading a journal, and the person who's supposed to be teaching us or learning with us already knows everything and poses everything. That's the fact that she does know everything. Lisa also said it that because it is a journal, and we know that there is a sequel that is bound to come out already, and that clearly this journal made it out of the situation, that a lot of the excitement and a lot of the like, oh my gosh, will it or won't it, kind of got lost, because like as the reader who has like a bird's eye view on everything, we know that the sequel, which is literally on the back page, and like if you Google Emily Wilde or like on Goodreads, it'll pop up with a sequel, will continue in book 2. I feel like we lost a lot of the like excitement of like, oh my god, is she gonna get out of this? What'll happen? And especially because Emily's recounting of everything was so distant, that I was just kind of a little like, I also found myself not really caring too much about what was happening. Like, clearly she is very autistic coded, so I'm not saying like, oh, it's because she's autistic coded. It's just with how the book was written that I felt like I was definitely reading a book from an English person back in the day who had no care for any kind of like oral tradition that was not written down. Because it was very matter of fact, very distant, very pointed. And there's nothing wrong with that, and like I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, if you are an autistic person who is like this, we probably won't vibe. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that this was not the book that I was anticipating. Everyone was saying it's like, oh, super cozy, super vibey, and I'm sitting here like, where though? Because the only vibes I'm getting from this book is that I should be doing research for something. I should be writing a paper. I don't know if I'll read the sequel. Mainly because I don't know if I specifically like this book enough. I gave it a 2. So clearly I didn't really like the book. But I don't know if I'll have more, like I genuinely do not know where else this book is gonna go. Lisa and I kind of discussed it with how the book ended, or at least like when I was touching on like what could happen, is like maybe it could be like how Stalking Jack the Ripper is, where we follow like a different story every time with the same set of characters, obviously, because the next book is Emily Wilde's map to the underground or something, or the underworld, something like that. But it just didn't, like, it doesn't hold my attention enough for me to continue. I just was like, I wasn't like bored. I was intrigued to see what happened next, if only for the fact that maybe we could get like some jostle of excitement in there. But that wasn't the case. Again, it just felt very English. Like, if there was a way to remove the excitement that comes from like the Fae stories, of how like different things happen, and the she's, yes, that's how you pronounce it, the oish she's, learned that in my class, of like how things can get twisted and changed because you're passing these stories down orally rather than writing it down. This would be an example of that. I felt like everything was just so matter of fact that even the story she was recounting, like the oral story she had learned and was recounting in the book, kind of lost its excitement for me. Like it just felt so stiff. And I think that's mostly in part to the fact that she wanted to really lean into the fact that it's an academic journal and not like a Dear Diary kind of situation. It sucks because I really loved the vibes of the book. I loved the sweet little quaint town in the middle of nowhere, probably Denmark, in the winter times where it's freezing and you realize that you don't know how to cut wood properly. And I liked the way that Heather Fawcett wrote the book. And I really enjoyed like reading, seeing Emily describe the world in how she's in like a very matter-of-fact way. And I liked how she kind of saw Wendell and saw through the facade that he had from the very beginning, and how she sees through all of these facades very quickly because she is so plain, and she's so very clearly her special interest is fairies. Very obviously special interest is fairies, and that like she struggles to like really connect with people, but she has these deep feelings for people and she cares about them. Obviously she just has an issue really expressing them and understanding them herself. I really enjoyed that, but like I said, I just think a lot of the like intrigue and the excitement, not even like excitement because it's a cozy low stakes fantasy, but a lot of like the intrigue and the anticipation that I was waiting for, the like form of like, oh, what's gonna happen next, was just not there, because Emily was just so, because of how Emily wrote the book, it was just so plain and so matter of fact, and I just felt like I was like reading something for school. So let me just kind of quickly go over the ratings I had for the books. I gave That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Dragon 4 out of 5 stars. This is definitely like more on the lower aspect of the cozy genre. Like, it is cozy, it is very vibey, very like not even low stakes, but it's just very low in like the lore, simply because we do have some high stakes moments in there that kind of got your blood pumping just a smidgen in more ways than one. Then we have Legends and Lattes, which I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Very much what I identify as like cozy, very low stakes, very much more character driven, very leading into the lore and like bringing to life like the imagery and the magic around them as like almost like a person rather than a thing to wield. Emily Wilde, I still don't know what genre this is. I personally don't think it's like fantasy, or not fantasy, cozy. I gave it a 2. I should have seen it coming because I believe I gave A Natural History of Dragons a 2 as well back in the day. And those two give off very similar vibes. I think if you like Emily Wilde, you'll probably enjoy A Natural History of Dragons. Similar thing. I would say probably this is like more on like the fantastical academia aspect. Like if there was like a dark, like a light academia like genre, but with like a sprinkle of fantasy rather than the murder and the mystery that we get from dark academia, this is probably like on there. Like I would say like a light, like a fantasy light academia is probably the genre I would give this book, and A Natural History of Dragons. Don't think this belongs in the cozy genre. Not saying as like a cozy connoisseur, because I am not, but I think just given the vibes I've read from other cozy books or other books within the cozy genre, this book was just lacking. And I think if I had not known that it was gonna, like, if it was not marketed as a cozy book, I probably would not have picked it up, just because again, the book itself like reminds me of A Natural History of Dragons, and like same vibes. They could literally, they're the same book, just marketed just with a different cover. I think people will enjoy this book though, but I don't think it belongs in the cozy genre. And with that, my conclusion is I think I still need to find more cozy books to read. Like I clearly seem to enjoy it, because I really, like, with the exception of Emily Wilde, most of my cozy reads have been within the 4 or 5 stars. Like with the cozy thrillers, with the like the cozy romances, and then even the graphic novel that I read, all within that 4 or 5 range. So clearly I don't dislike the genre. I just think that I need to find other books that are definitely like leaning heavily into the fact that it's very low stakes. very into the characters and like a singular, like a smaller scale struggle rather than the larger scale of like, oh my god, will a dragon come and go to the entire light? Like, who knows? I don't. But yes, that is it for this vlog. I'm so sorry the last book had such minimal b-roll. Between the cocoa and the traveling and then just my utter lack of like, what is this book? Not a lot of time to do it. Like, I still haven't done my bullet journal because I am just like, oh gosh, but I have to do it because it's my birthday month, so I have to have at least like something that documents like all the things that I enjoyed about June, so I gotta at least do that. But yes, if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do like a follow-up of being like, do I like more cozy books? Do I not like more cozy books? But until next time, hopefully you guys are having, if you guys have any cozy book recommendations, leave them down for me in the comments. Other than that, subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Hopefully I will be more enthralled in the book that I was reading. Bye!